Texas Mega Ride is coming up fast. We got a lot of stuff to do to the Ultra Bee before we're ready. Today we're going to tackle just your basic maintenance of what you should be doing on every single bike, things to check before you go to a big ride. You're traveling cross country to go for a big ride. So the main things I'm doing right now is I'm tackling, my chain was completely shot, so I'm going to be replacing that. We're going to be doing a lot of greasing, bearings, all that type of stuff. The sprocket needs to be changed because this was a speed sprocket and this is more a stunt oriented ride. So we're going to be changing this out to the stock sprocket. So I got that soaking in iron remover to make it look as pretty as possible. We're going to do a lot of cleanup, check brake pads, that type of stuff. So come along, this is more going to be vlog style. We'll just move the camera around a little bit and show you what we're doing. Got some Adams polish here, and it's their iron remover, and it's really great for your stupid greasy type stuff. So you just spray it on, wait until it turns red. See how it's turning red? And then I just power wash mine off. I got this Giraffe Tools all built-in power washer, makes it easy, but this stuff just makes quick work of everything like this. Just hold it. Makes it sort of look new again. So this is a 46, which comes stock on all the Ultra Bees. I want to run a 44 and I ordered it, but shipping department doesn't really like me, so. Boom, let's get this thing on. Just going to dab this just a little bit of Loctite on each one of these. I haven't had the best luck. You may or may not see it in an upcoming video, but my CRF decided to lose some bolts while we were on the trail. So, and I Loctite everything, but I'm having the best luck, so we're going to sort of over Loctite it, and hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me later when I need to take these out. Because I got a 44 on the way, but nothing wants to show up before Mega Ride, of course. So we got one more week, so if the 44 shows up, we'll throw the nice fancy looking one on just before we leave, but we'll get these Loctited in and start inspecting our brakes to see if we need to replace pads before we go, because I have a feeling we do. I have I think 3,500 miles on these brakes, so I'll show you guys what they look like here in a minute. All right, for brakes, I'm more a hand brake guy versus foot brake, which I may get a whole pile of hate for saying that, but it is what it is. It's the truth. So we're going to pull this off. On the Ultra Bee, it's super easy when you have your rear wheel off, but my brake pads are not shot. Let me pull them out and show them to you. So I'm just going to use this to push the pistons in to make room for changing out new pads. So this will push all the fluid up to your master cylinder. And just like that. And then we're going to get, I believe it's a 5mm. By the way, this is not a sponsor, but we're using these Hex RPT bits right now. I'm just testing them out. They're working pretty good. They stop a lot of, on the Suron stuff, there's a lot of soft bolts. So it helps make it so you don't strip out hardware. And it also helps if you've already stripped out your hardware, it helps to get them out. So it's always a plus. I tear apart a lot of bikes, so it helps just to have the right tools sometimes. Okay, those will need to be greased. These are just your pins that your pads ride on. Once you get the pins out, you're able to flip these up and your pad should just drop right out. So, and the retainer clip. So to be perfectly honest with you, not bad for 30 some odd 100 miles. Not bad at all. But like I said before, we're going cross country, so I'm gonna change these out. I got an extra set anyway. Okay, we're just going to throw, I rebent that clip out. We're just going to throw a little grease on these push rod penny thingies. You can really use any type of grease or just in my experience, that's what I use. So just put a little bit, clean them off, and then put a little bit. This just helps your pads can retract. So if you ever find that your wheel's not spinning like you want it to, like freely, check these. And you also want to grease, while you have your grease out, your 2 push rods on your caliper or your slider rods. Throw some grease on there. Not too much that it'll get up into the pad and everything, but just a little bit. Goes a long way. Okay, we'll throw our new brake pads in. Make sure you put your retainer clip in there. Slide those puppies in. And then your little push rod, or your screws, your retainer screw thingies. There you go. Up through. Finagle those in. Tighten those up, and that's brake pads changed. Now this can be the sort of challenging part, get the rear wheel back on. It's just you gotta line up, especially when you're like me and you got the foot brake as well as the hand brake, so you got 2 calibers to line up and all that type of stuff. But we'll grease our rear axle and then we'll slide this brake bracket on. So let's use the same grease that we were using before. Let's put a tad bit on here. I pull my rear wheel off quite a bit, so I don't put a lot on there. Just slide this puppy in there, ready to go. And it's just a matter of finagle this thing in there. Always want to make sure brakes are all good. Bolts are still tight, rotor's good. We're around both brakes, and at this point you would be wanting to worry about your chain, but my chain, I'm going to replace it anyway, and I just buy universal chains off of Amazon, so I gotta cut them to length. Okay, so we got that in. Now we can grab our mallet. There we are. And then we can sort of pump up our brakes, make sure they're good, make sure the rear handbrake is good. Perfect. And then we'll have to bed those brakes in, get a rear axle somewhat on, axle nut, and then on to cutting this chain, and then we'll have to tension the chain properly. Alright, I'm not going to bore you guys with cutting my chain. It's pretty straightforward. You just get it to your right length and then you're going to put your master link back on. A couple other things. I want to keep this video pretty short, but it's pretty basic. You just want to keep up with your general maintenance on these bikes. For when you're going to these big rides, you don't want to be the one that causes an accident because you can't slow down or something like that. So I just bled my front brake. It feels really good and tight now. That just had an air bubble in it, so we had to get that taken care of. I'm going around cleaning everything, re-greasing the front axle, that type of stuff, making sure my lights work, making sure brake lights work, all that type of stuff, retuning the bike, making sure there's no software updates, anything like that. You don't want to be stuck somewhere trying to do a software update and you don't have internet, this, that, and the other thing. So that's the main thing I'm doing. And then I'm just going around making sure all my bolts are tight, all the main ones, motor bolts, make sure you're tensioned as far as your belt is concerned. One thing people really overlook on these bikes is making sure your phase wires are tight. If those come loose and touch each other, it's not going to be a good day. So we're just doing a whole once over on the bike. And then the other big thing that not a lot of people talk about is what to bring to one of these rides. So this is my tool chest. I've had this thing forever. It's not in any particular order or anything, but I've just got a basic Milwaukee set of sockets. I've got my Allen keys up here. They're just T-handle Allen keys. So the things I'll bring is I'll pack this set. As far as sockets and everything, I want a full set of sockets. I'm most likely going to pack all of my Allen keys, or I'll go ahead and just pack just one of the smaller sets of Allens. But we'll get those packed up. I'm not going to be too worried about a lot of like packing the whole tool chest, but I want a basic set of tools while I'm down there. Just like basic pliers and screwdrivers, that type of thing. And then spare parts. I always bring, I'm definitely bringing these, but spare parts. I always bring brake pads. I'm in a unique situation where I do a lot of work on bikes, so I have spare parts. So I'll be bringing like a throttle just in case if someone's goes bad. I'll be bringing a lot of brake pads, a couple bolts and stuff like that. And I always try just to throw in my soldering iron just in case if there's anything that goes bad on there. And then stuff like this, like tubes and everything. Yes, you can bring it, but you got to be careful what you bring. It's a lot of weight. It's a lot of stuff you got to lug around and all that type of stuff. So it's really nice to be prepared, but I try and be the best medium between just completely overpacking and just having the right amount of stuff. So I just make sure my bike is completely dialed and everyone that's coming with me. So we're taking 10 total bikes. So we got a truck and trailer there, and we're taking the 10 bikes in the trailer. So this is Lorenzo's. We're taking the little RTRs. We're not taking any of the gas bikes or anything, but yeah, so follow along. If you guys are interested in this style video, you guys like it, make sure to drop me a comment, tell me what I could have done differently, that type of stuff, and we'll hopefully be doing a really cool edit on the Texas Mega Ride. So we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.